So I want to introduce our special guests today. Today we're meeting up with the last year's fifth grade team from Bayview Elementary School, and we have three guests. We have our teacher, Rachael Robbins. Yay!
Hello.
Who is joined by two of her amazing students. We have Evie. Hello. And wait, there's more. Everybody give it up for Michaela. All right.
Hello.
Students who are involved in this project. So this is, if you look behind me on the wall there, there's a whole bunch of field guides. And one of them is the field guide to Skagit County. And this is an amazing nature journaling project that I'm just going to hold this up, and you can see that this is a thoroughly researched and illustrated guide to everything in that region. And what a cool project. And so this was done. Oh, do you recognize the page there?
Yeah, the snow goose.
Snow goose is Michaela's.
All right. And Evie, which one was yours?
I have one that's a red flowering currant.
Oh, I think I saw that. I think I passed it, right?
Yeah.
And
it has a red spot on the top.
Yep. And I will find it and display that. No disrespect that I don't have it up right now.
No, we have it on the slide too. So
you've got it on the slide. Excellent.
Yeah.
So turning this project into this project is such a rich idea for educators everywhere. And so I've invited this team on to describe their process, what it was like, what that is sort of inspired in you, kind of how it felt to be involved in this. What were the logistics in doing something like this, so that we can take all of those ideas and apply them forward in our classes across the country and across the world. So we'd love to use this as a model of of how to make something really, really beautiful happen. So I want to thank the three of you so much for being with us today. And so I'm going to now turn it over to Rachael, Evie, and Michaela. And you have our full attention, and thank you for being here. So by the way, friends at home, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to encourage everybody to take a bunch of notes, and then we'll have a little bit of a discussion and any questions that pop into your head. And questions, possibilities, what this then inspires in you, anything that you want to sort of logistically bounce around with this team. We'd love to hear all of those thoughts, comments, and ideas. So with no further ado, it's Rachael, Evie, and Michaela. Thank you all very much.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting us. We're very excited. I'm Rachael, Miss Robbins, and this is my former students, Evie and Michaela. We're representative of the whole sixth grade that was involved in this project last year. I'm going to start with just presenting a little slideshow about our process and what we did and some pictures. And please, you can ask questions. And I hope that this inspires you to do something similar with your own community. We'll tell you what we think about it. But let me share my screen. Share. Okay, and then it's a little slideshow I had created. So again, we're at Bayview Elementary. We are in Burlington, Washington, and Skagit Valley in Skagit County. It's about an hour north of Seattle. You can see a map there. That's actually pretty close to our school, isn't it? That's yeah, a very beautiful farming community. Some of the best soil in the world comes in Skagit County. So just an idea of where we're at. we're at Bayview Elementary, and one of the really beautiful parts about being at Bayview is that we are really blessed to be right next door to, or part of our property is some woods, and we have some trails back there. And a few years ago during COVID, the 5th grade class made an outdoor classroom area. So this is our class last year, some kids working nature journaling in our outdoor classroom. And I have a picture of, well, we also had one other student who was going to present, and he's unfortunately ill today. So I have a picture of each of them nature journaling in the outside. This is Austin, who wished he could be here today, working in the outdoor classroom. And the Evie on the left.
Charlie.
Yeah, it's Charlie. And then Michaela on the right in the candid pictures. Being in Washington State, the fall is wonderful, spring is wonderful, and winter is very rainy. So an outdoor classroom kind of becomes more challenging. Although we did go out all year. We did do that. But so we have decided to do a field guide as a process, as something to do during the winter months. I've been really lucky that I've been able to incorporate nature journaling every day in our classroom. And so we took this on with the other 5th grade class. Jennifer Williams was our other 5th grade teacher. And we call a spring showcase where every grade does some kind of project, and they do have a family event. And so we decided in 5th grade that we were going to take on this project of a field guide. So I kind of laid out the process of what we decided to do for this. So Miss Williams and I started with creating a spreadsheet. In 5th grade, the curriculum is for the NJEF standards, Next Generation Science Standards, is ecosystems. So it's really a huge focus in 5th grade. They learn about producers, consumers, and decomposers. So Jennifer and I created a spreadsheet. It has, you can see here, this is the producers of the plants. There we are. And then we had one for birds and mammals for consumers. And then we did fungi, I'll go slower in a second, invertebrate for decomposers. And so kids from both, we shared this between both classes. We made this big list, and we had to start out, we had each student choose one producer, one consumer, one decomposer to research. And they put their names on the spreadsheet. There's Evie and Michaela right there. The paper birch and the vine maple. And so the minimum requirement was to do one of each. And as kids completed some, they would do more. So you can see John did a couple right here and then one right here. So we had lots and lots of pages, lots and lots of options for the kids to choose from. And this was a way that we could keep track of so we wouldn't duplicate, obviously, and kids had some choice in what they wanted to research. Okay, and then after the kids selected their organisms, we gave them an instruction sheet of what they needed to research. So this is a copy of, remember this?
Yeah,
I remember that.
So here's where they decided they had to choose a producer, consumer, decomposer. And depending on what they were researching, they had a checklist of things they needed to find. So they had to find the common name, and then nicknames for the plant. The Latin name, you can see parts of the plant. They had to draw a picture of the plant. They needed to label it. They had to identify if it was invasive or native, and just different facts about the producers. And the same thing with consumers. And then the decomposers, same thing. And that was kind of a guide to help them along. After they had researched their organism, they then created a layout. And so my class, we used their nature journals to do a page where they just had to lay out what they wanted to do, and they had to
where we put what things and how we word it, and where everything's gonna go. Exactly.
So they were kind of a little more organization. The other class, they took a different approach, and you can see a very different style between the two classes, which both were pretty valid. I guess I have more control. I don't know. I had them lay it out. We talked about layout as part of one of our nature journal lessons too. So it kind of tied into what we've been doing. And then after they had laid it out and they showed it to me and we talked about like what the improvements or things that change or if it look good, then we go on to creating our final draft. And I will show you some of these pages in a sec when I'm done with this slideshow. That we gave them a larger paper and they did it in pencil first. I think we checked over spelling and as much as we could, and then you guys went over it with black pen and then and used watercolors.
Like the best pens I've ever used. They were so smooth.
The pens we use for nature journaling. We have some Uniball, and then we had some Pentels that were really pretty nice that we used. I could say also the supplies we used. I gave the kids. I wanted to have them use high quality art supplies. It's okay. You can. So I had them get watercolor pencils. I think they were Faber-Castell watercolor pencils, and they only got 5 colors. They got like a cyan, magenta, yellow, I think a burnt sienna, and a gray.
Yeah.
And same with, they had watercolors, the same thing. There were student grade watercolors instead of the Prang or Crayolas that we usually use in schools. So I think they felt more empowered to have nicer art supplies. And but they got really good at, so all the colors in that nature guide are just mixing colors. So those are the only colors they used. So they got really good at that. Okay, so that was the final draft. And then I'll show you I have a slideshow of, I'm not going to go through all these. We had this going on the family night I was mentioning, where this shows different, hold on, load for a second, different kids' work. And I wanted to share just a few of them. Okay. The first 2 are Michaela's. And Michaela, do you have anything you want to add to this and say about either of these?
It was just really fun to do that. And I just can't believe I drew that picture so well.
It's beautiful. Using the full page of the color that you used.
I said Acer Circinatum in my head so many times it's engraved in my brain.
Oh, the scientific name?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then you did the snow goose.
I think that's the most impressive one she's made.
You like that? What's kind of cool about Skagit County is that we have every winter we get huge flocks of snow geese that come down from the Arctic, and so the fields, our farm fields, are just absolutely full of these beautiful birds. So I'm glad that you actually captured that one. That's her backyard, she just said.
Look at that thing coming in for a landing there.
An action shot. So yeah, that's very representative of the Skagit County. You want to add anything on that one?
Not really.
No, you don't have to. It's totally fine. You did awesome. And Evie, this one's yours, right?
Yeah, this is the red flowering currant. This is probably one of my favorite ones to do because I love flowers. And I think that the little tiny detail is just really good on this one.
I noticed that you really got in on the stamens on the plant. And,
yeah.
And incorporating the color in different parts of the page.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to share a cup. Evie has more too, but we couldn't find them yet. They're in there. I want to show what I really like about doing this field guide is that I have kids with different academic challenges or abilities. And so we have a student who she had some support with you can see it says it has kind of an outline. So she drew her fox and she researched the information, but it was laid out for her so that she could be successful in creating pages. Otherwise, she was feeling overwhelmed before that. So it has a nice scaffolding element there. And then this is another student who often doesn't, he doesn't, I don't know how to say this. Sometimes it's a little challenging for him to focus on the assignment. And he got totally into this. He's an amazing artist, and he created so many pages of this journal. So it reaches kids that you don't always reach in schools, and it's kind of magical how it just different kids respond to it. And so there's a whole bunch of different pages. I think that was Emma.
I feel the reason that he gives that magic is because there's it's not really just a usual assignment that you have given to you. there's so much like options on what to do with it, and you can get really creative with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that a lot of kids are good at.
And then they can preach it in the way that they get excited about, right? Yeah, thank you. And finally, we published, and our original plan was we had some money from our building that we were going to use to provide every student their own hardcover book. And because we'd created so many pages, we were not finding books that we could afford. It was like $50-$60 a book, and with families' mind, we couldn't ask families to do that. So we used our building money to produce like, was it the bound books? I'll show the screen in a second. So the kids when we used our money for full color photos. And then after we had done that, then our other teacher found that Barnes & Noble Printing did them for $21 each, the hardcover. So that's a really good resource. Barnes & Noble Publishing, you can upload to their website, and books are really reasonably priced. So that was a lesson learned. Really quickly, I just thought of bringing up like some of the challenges and considerations about in this process, and then we're open up to questions, and the girls can talk about their experience too. The challenges and considerations, and looking back, like I said, funding was a little challenging with the price of the book. So color photos also very expensive. We were trying to see if we could get even color prints elsewhere, and it was very expensive. So organization, we had tons of this big stack of these pages that the kids had created. So I had created a checklist with like producer, consumer, decomposer for each student, and mark them off as they finish, and then have a space for extra ones that they had done. Time, we used our nature journaling time to work on that. It took about at least a month or two. It took a long time.
Yeah.
We worked on it a long time, about 20-30 minutes a day.
Being beautiful.
Yeah, it turned out well, but it definitely was time.
Definitely worth it.
Good. I agree. But it was definitely a challenge to get the the time frame. Also, sometimes the correct information, there was so many pages, and looking back, some of the kids hadn't quite caught on about it being about local information. So sometimes they were finding facts about other countries, or so trying to like find a way to edit this and help them see specifically about Skagit County. Fitting on the page is something, looking back, that I will change next year, that we'll kind of have a border around the pages so they don't get cut off, or when the binding, some of the writing is kind of hidden. And to even track a student completion was really helpful to have that checklist. Logistics, like converting to JPEG, the other teacher, she finally figured out how to do it. I need to figure it out for this year. And then one thing I regret is that we didn't get student names on our pages. The other teacher, she had her kids' initial, so she has the initials on her kids, and I really don't know. We have the kids' names in the back of our book so that they're credited, but I don't necessarily know whose is whose. So, and then some positives that I want to mention, that as a team, from the teacher's perspective, I really like that the kids had a better connection to their own ecosystem here in Skagit County. They had already done research on ecosystems around the world, but not here at home. So that was really nice they can really focus in on what is around us. One of the pieces that we had them research was the awareness of impact. So if it was an invasive or native species, and so kids were finding out about animals and plants that they didn't know were invasive, that we just see all the time. There was one that Miss Michelle always talks about. I can't know anyway. One other positive, it's an authentic audience. They're not making this just for their teacher. They're making it for a wider audience. The finished product felt good, right?
Yeah, it really felt good when we finally finalized it.
It made it authentic.
So excited. I was so excited.
Yay. Is a deeper understanding of the NJEF standards. And one of the 6th grade teachers was commenting on like how so the kids did some project earlier in the year where they had to draw a map. You draw maps, right?
Yeah.
And she said this was the first year that kids just like were not hesitant. Like every kid was just jumping right in, drawing the maps, because all the kids last year were involved in the nature journaling and in the field. They were kind of fearless about just jumping in and drawing, which is not. She's something Miss McMurray had seen in the past. So. Okay, so I think that's all I have there. I can stop sharing my screen, go back to Zoom. Stop sharing. Okay.
Oh, wow. This is so inspiring. You did, I mean, the product is amazing. I know, like I'd love to sort of hear from you folks, like when you got this thing in your hands, how did that feel? What was going on for you?
For you guys.
Well, at first it felt a little overwhelming because it felt like we have to do all of this and we have this amount of time to do it, and it's gonna turn into this like big-ish thing, but we didn't know how like important it was gonna be. I don't want to say that, but
It's okay.
But after we like started it and got into it, it felt less of an assignment and more like free time. Kind of.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was like looking forward to it every day.
Yeah. Normally I was like, I don't really want to get out today. But then once we started doing the field guides, I'm just like, let's go. I'm doing this. Because it's just, I get to do what I love to do, which is draw. And I get to research, which I don't get to do much. And I think that's really fun.
I mean, what a difference between something that you're doing because somebody told you to do this. This is what you're supposed to be doing right now. And something where you authentically, like you've got a dog in the fight. You care about it for your own reasons.
Yeah.
Was there any carryover in that to other things that you were doing academically? Like you had this one thing that you're doing for your, did you find that working on the field guides, I know this is kind of an odd question. I'm wondering, did working on this field guide change your motivation in other sorts of activities that you were doing?
Well, I think, was math before or after nature journaling? I think
Was
it
what?
was
after.
What was?
I think it was after.
Math?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did math after.
I forget what was before nature journaling. Was it
Number
right
corner.
after lunch? Number corner? All right. I knew it was some sort of math. But it made me like want to like really like focus on number corner and get it done sooner so we could start nature journaling earlier. So it kind of did make me focus more on number corner.
I think that it actually inspired me to focus more in my scouting because I realized that paying attention is really important when you're researching and stuff. And we do like a lot of planning, and it's kind of hard to take notes when you're not paying attention. So
It's very true.
very true.
Very true.
What as you are thinking about this, what for any of you was something that was a kind of a hidden joy in it, something that you didn't expect to be part of this, but a portion of the project that you found yourself really connecting with?
Mostly just like, well, it just felt kind of different that we were able to have so much freedom with it. And I really liked that part. And also, if I'm being completely honest, I think I got to know my classmates a bit better because we could like talk during it and just like so much conversation, and then seeing what they were working on, like how they did it, like it made me understand them more.
Well, you guys really bounced ideas off each other as a student. Like,
Yeah.
Was it you that was with Emma and you guys were?
Yeah, I remember like
Yeah,
Emma like helped someone, and then they got like the same idea for the title, but then they made the idea even better in two different ways, and just like it was crazy.
Yeah, it kind of just everyone reflected off of each other and made something beautiful.
And I just really like that, like I've mentioned before, that how everybody was able to approach it and feel successful. And kids that don't necessarily get excited about what we're doing in class, I think to a kid, like everybody was very excited to be a part of this process in their own way. And there's a lot of freedom with it.
It's really, really interesting to me that you're talking about this kind of collaboration with your classmates, kind of looking over each other's like, how are you solving this, and like, what are you doing over here with this? Like, ooh, I'm going to take that, I'm going to modify it. And you said like, then 2 things to make it better. Did you then go use some of those ideas yourself? And you're kind of like, oh, this was a good idea, now it's better.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because what's interesting to me is like, this is the process that scientists working on things really try to aspire to do. This, like, nobody's everything, and by collaborating with other people, we whatever product we're working on becomes better and better and better and better and better. And one of the skills we have to develop is this ability to kind of work together, to be able to share ideas, and then be able to take an idea and kind of like, oh, we can still innovate with this and modify it. That's a very interesting observation to me that you had about this process. How has doing this changed the way that you see the forest, or you think about or see kind of the natural world around you?
Well, when I was researching, like I thought I would know a fact, but I just like researched it anyway, just like, okay, I might be wrong. But then there was like even more to that fact. Like I got like a deeper understanding of the things that I was researching. Because like I thought I would know something. I would look it up because it's on my little guide instruction sheet. And I would find that there's like so much more to that thing that I thought I knew.
What can you give me kind of an example of that?
I've got to agree with her.
Like, yeah.
What about when you guys are out in the woods and you notice things in a different way out in the woods from?
Yeah, we just got like this like close up look at things, and we got like a whole half hour or more to do it.
Yeah. I would take my journal wherever I would go. If I had to like run over out of the woods and do something, I would take my journal with me. And every single time I came into the forest, there was always something new. Like I found a little towhee bird, I think. And it's just this little bird.
The towhee?
The towhee, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was so cute and little.
Aren't they cute? Those are cute.
I remember like how lucky we were the first day, like right when we were gonna like go out from the outdoor classroom and back like into the building. Luke took a stick, no one knew what he was doing, and then like overturned a piece of bark, and we found a caterpillar with a blue horn thing.
Oh yeah.
Like our very first day, that was like not one of like one of the only animals we saw for like a very long time until spring hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We were just so lucky that we got to see that right away.
Oh, and we also saw that snake.
Oh yeah, that snake.
Like one of our last days journaling, we found a snake slithering around. Everyone gathered around it, and it started freaking out. But then,
I actually kept it alive for the snake.
Yeah, me too. At least we got to draw it.
And well, discoveries like this are there these sorts of things, like the caterpillars, the snake in the grass. These things are out there all the time, but most people haven't trained themselves how to slow down and to notice these sorts of things. And as I look through this, I'm just seeing such rich observation and not tunnel vision on one way of doing things. You're mentioning kind of a little bit of the structure, but also having the freedom to kind of bring your own creative process and ideas into this. I was wondering if you folks could bounce around those ideas with us a little bit. The sort of the relationship between having some structure. How do we provide enough structure that you feel comfortable, you kind of know what you're doing, but not that it's locking you in to like, there's one way to do this, you better do it that way.
Well, I think like the main part that helped is that like we were each assigned like one producer, decomposer, and consumer. I forgot the word for a second. But not just really they assigned it to us. We kind of got to pick which one, so that kind of felt good. Mm-hmm. But also like the instruction sheet, it wasn't really like telling you what to do. It just said, these are some facts you can research. Like, why not try these? And then we just gotta like take those facts, kind of organize them however we want, mm-hmm. and then put them on a piece of paper. So just like there's not much telling you what to do, but it's telling you like good ways that you can do it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like suggestions.
So I want to see if I'm understanding you correctly. So you weren't given a script that you needed to follow. You had some suggestions and ideas that you could play with, but you weren't required to do those things.
Yeah.
Right.
Funny because I didn't see it that way.
We saw it that way.
I didn't intend to be a suggestion, but that's fine.
Yeah.
It worked though. It was, yeah, we wanted these elements in our guide for all the pages when we designed it, and we let the kids have the freedom to how they wanted to organize it. And sometimes you can't find the right information, and we were fine with that too. So maybe that's where that flexibility came in. But
yeah. So and also I loved what you were saying earlier about this idea that you'd sometimes start to research something and it's so much more nuanced and deep than you thought, because we're used to kind of like the one paragraph thing that beavers like to blah 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 blah, like there's your beaver information. Then you start kind of digging into any one of these little pieces and there's so much there. In the process of doing this, did you also kind of come up against, I'd be interested if you kind of came up against things where you thought that this was going on, and then either from your research or your own observations changed your mind on the basis of the research and the work that you're doing in the field with these critters? Did the being or the research change your mind about it?
You go.
Okay. Let me think about this for a minute.
What was the question?
Let me rephrase it, because I think this was kind of I was a little bit all over that. So I'm really interested in how people kind of change their minds about things, and sometimes we have this idea in our head that I know what's up with beavers, and but as we start to look into it, we discover that that what I thought was going on, what I thought was correct, it's actually different than that. It's actually this way. And sometimes that happens from research that I'm doing, and sometimes that happens because I'm looking at something and saying like, I thought these critters did this, but now I'm looking here and I'm seeing them actually doing this other thing here. So sometimes this comes about by research, sometimes by direct observation. I was wondering if for any of the three of you, there's something in this process that you encountered that changed your mind about something big or small.
Yeah, I can think about like one small detail that I like vividly remember. Mm-hmm. Like it's a very small detail, but still a detail.
Any sort of thing, like, but just the idea of like actually giving ourselves permission, because a lot of people don't change their mind about stuff. They're like, no, this is what I think, and if I get some information that doesn't match with that, I'm going to ignore it. So what was that little nugget change for you?
Well, there was like it's called a snow goose, and I knew that like plural was geese. But then also like I think a baby goose was a gosling. I'm just like, okay, new name for that. And apparently I forget if it was like the cousin or something else to the blue goose. I'm just like, I wonder if that's like, did they name it a color because of the blue goose? Like, sorry, that didn't make sense.
Yeah. Well,
But then I like kept reading, and it said that that they think, like, whoever wrote this, like, that, like,
my computer has frozen up here. I am.
still don't quite know the answer if the snow goose and the blue goose are different. But I would just really want to like go back and try to like find out more about that to see which one is right.
So that's that. Hold on, I'm trying to
Yeah, I think so.
as we're speaking, my computer is starting to go like. So if I between the freezes that I was getting, I hope everybody else got that. Oh, good. I'm seeing nods. So it is something entirely on my end. So I'm trying to get myself to plug in here, and but hold on a second. Nope, not you.
One thing that I'm hearing that I think is really awesome is that you're looking at different sources to see if you can determine what the information is. And it's okay if you don't know the answer right now, because you're continuing to search and you're continuing to gather information. And honestly, it's in science, you don't necessarily have to worry about getting the answer quickly. It's more about being thorough in your research, and that's what it sounds like you're doing. So mad props for that.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, the deal with the blue goose is so weird with those snow geese. Every once in a while, you're looking out there at this big field of snow geese, white goose, and there's one who just didn't get the memo. It's still a snow goose. So what's going on with that? Yeah, isn't it fun to kind of, in the process of really researching something deeply, to still have open questions and realize that there's more to learn about that.
Now that I think about it, wait, sorry.
No, please.
Okay. Now that I think about it, I'm just like thinking like possibilities of like why it would look blue. I'm just thinking, well, baby penguins are fuzzy, but adult penguins aren't. So like, is it like have to do with age?
Interesting.
I'm trying to think of like why would it look blue?
And what I really like about what you did just there is you expressed that as what a lot of people do is like an idea comes to them like, oh, it's age, and then they'd say like, oh, I guess it's because of age. But what you did is you used the scientific language of uncertainty, where you said like, I have this guess, it's a possibility that I wonder if it is because of this age thing. That shows that the way you're thinking about this information and putting in new ideas, that's a really solid way of thinking. That's going to do you well. So I've got a quick question for Rachel, and then we're going to open this up to questions from the whole crew here. By the way,
okay.
And I just want to say this is so exciting, and congratulations to all of you on this. So Rachel, when you were getting into this, did you have any idea what you were getting into and this sort of the scale that this thing would become? Because I imagine you're thinking like everybody's going to do one of these things, and then other people are going like, okay, I'm ready for my next one, and I'm ready for my next one. It seems like it was just mushrooming on you there. What did you think you were getting into, and what did it become?
Well, I'll back up 1 year really quickly that I tried something similar the previous year. That year I was the only one doing the project. And that year we were going into the outdoor classroom and kids were finding plants and then what was specifically in our outdoor classroom. And it was chaos because the kids kept picking the same plant. And then like, it was just like, okay, this is not working. So we're back to the drawing board. And I think, working with Jen Williams, the other teacher, kind of having a plan ahead of time was like you said, we had this vision of one of each, maybe a couple of kids will do some more. but it was exciting how it did mushroom in a really positive way that kids just kept creating more. I do want to show one more couple of pictures of John's. You guys remember John's?
Oh yeah.
John in particular, he just oops, it's this one. Let me know if you can. I try to move them to the front here. Oh, here they are. So John, when he started, I won't make the screen big. Can you guys see that okay?
Yes, we can.
It is. So he just created a style, and I kind of wish he'd come to talk too, but you could always identify John's page because he has his little frame, he has like the text, he has the pictures. And so like for him, it just became like he could just keep producing these and creating more. He was really into it. Remember?
Yeah.
I mean,
most field guides completed.
yeah.
Pages.
Well, most field guide pages, right?
Wait, that was Emma because she had 9.
No, yeah, Emma had 9.
Well, Emma had 9. But I just like how I'm trying to say from that creating that structure too, that he was great. Like I loved it kind of snowballed and became this massive book. Like I said about the funding, when we originally calculated how much a book was going to cost, it was going to be 3 pages per kid. And stop sharing screen. Sorry. It was great that it was unfortunate that we couldn't get you guys the hardcovers at that point, but it was also very exciting that we didn't want to leave any pages out. We wanted to have everybody's in there. So it was a happy accident.
Yeah.
You have one of John's pages there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can now spot his style.
Yeah. There's Michaela and Donnie.
Really, really, really exciting. I see how kind of electrified your team is by this. And I want to give people in our community a chance here to bounce a few questions off of those. Those can either be educational, philosophical, those can be about natural history questions, those can be about process and procedure. So if you've got a question, please use the raise hand function. That'll be the easiest way for us to find you. If you don't have that available to you, you can just turn on your screen and wave at us. Folks, Kate is calling in with us from Hawaii. And yes, you'll notice no big jacket.
I'm actually wearing long pants today though, so that means that it's the start of fall. Yeah, I have lots of questions, but first off, congratulations. This is super awesome. So I've gotten really into self-publishing and researching it. So something you might want to look into is lulu.com. Because they do offer color printing without it being the photo printing. And it's I'm looking at a lot of your pictures that it doesn't need like that full photo quality print to be able to, and I just did a quick search and it's only like $15 per option. Oh, wow. Depending on, size and quality. It would be, as I said, like not full photo quality, but you have a lot of like written text and then, in the drawings. And I think that might work out as like a kind of more in between option and make it a little bit more affordable. What's nice about that one is that you can also set it up for sale on like Amazon or global distribution. And then people can purchase it. Like I would totally buy one of your books. And so that it makes it easier to share with like the wider community. And then you guys would also get like $1 or $2 per every book, just like automatically put into like your PTO account or something. So it would be a way to help fundraise to continue the project. So another question that I had is like, you
said that was lulu.com?
LULU.com.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, okay. And if you have any questions, technical questions, I'm happy to help out and give some advice. I've been doing graphic design and publishing for a really long time, and so yeah, happy to help out. I think this is really awesome, and thank you for sharing your information. So kind of on that note, like, how do you plan to keep it? Do you plan to keep this going, like as a continuous process, like, finding like more and more? I mean, because there's so many different species, like, are there different you know, organisms that you weren't able to cover that you really wanted to be able to cover with next year, or are you going to just kind of revisit each year, or, you know, I'm just kind of curious to hear.
Yeah, it's a work in progress. I don't have a team this year. Unfortunately, we had it's basically just me in the 5th grade this year doing this. So I've been thinking about it, if I want to do maybe if the kids, I like the idea of being able to bring our
Like 6th grade units.
5th grade units, but then I also think it'd be really neat to have one group, maybe different years doing like insects, or different groups doing, and that'd be really powerful too. So I don't know. I'm not sure where I want to go with it. I definitely want to continue in exploring this. I think it was such a positive experience for the kids that I don't want to stop doing this. So
That's really cool. Yeah, it's interesting to think of like how to keep it going, and especially if it's just you trying to do it all, it's a lot. What kind of sources did you guys use? Did you guys actually go into the library and pull out physical books? Were there certain websites that you found to be super useful, or?
Usually we're just on computers. Did you say that like one of the good sites for
Audubon?
Forgot how to pronounce it.
Audubon.
So we have some field guides in the classrooms. We had one like on the Pacific Northwest that we used a little bit to get information. Yeah, it was mostly websites that we suggested to the kids that they went to. Our choices on books in the library are kind of limited here, but
Yeah, I understand. We have kind of a limited selection just because there's not a lot that's specific to Hawaii that's been published, and so that's why, you know, like this is really interesting to me. Are you willing to share your like Google document template of like what your expectations were?
yeah, definitely.
Okay, that would be super awesome. And then, oh yeah, what kind of paper did you use for your final draft?
Was it cardstock?
No, it wasn't.
It was thicker than normal paper.
This is
where like watercolor wouldn't like bleed.
Unfortunately, I didn't order this. The other teacher ordered it. She ordered it on Amazon, and it was a big pack of this paper, and I don't know what size. It's about the size of the book. So John, Jack, what size dimensions? I'm not sure. It kind of reminds me. It kind of reminds me of mixed media paper, like in the Canson journals.
Okay.
The idea of what it's kind of like. But I'm not sure exactly what it probably mixed media. Now I think about it, because I did watercolor and it was fine.
And it worked out.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then oh yeah, and then how did was your the administration like super supportive, or kind of like, okay, sure, go have fun with that, or?
Very supportive. She was I'm not sure she's online anymore. She was I can't tell who's on there or not. She's incredibly supportive of us doing this. Give her Miss Reiser. Is Miss Reiser there? Not sure. No, that's okay. Yeah, she's very supportive. She's wonderful. So.
Oh, and I see somebody asked about like what publishing tool did you just like? Did you scan? You know, did you have a scanner like the school scanner, or you know, like how did you kind of like? What was that?
Our copy machine scans documents, so we just scanned them from the copy machine to our computer, and then we made a file from that. And I don't know, like, if Miss Williams, if she had changed it to JPEG. I don't know what she did. I'm gonna have to ask her still, because how she got it onto the uploaded.
Yeah, that's always
I don't know.
Part.
Yeah.
And then
but Miss Allen.
Yeah.
I think Miss Williams was a good teacher.
From she
what
was.
She's a very good teacher.
This is
sounds like you guys have a plethora of good teachers over there.
Yeah.
And
got a team.
In the thing too. So
just you know, I'll have to leave in about 10 minutes. I have class that I have to. Is that okay?
Thank you so much for those questions. Is there anything else you wanted to ask, or can we bounce over to a different person? Thank you so much for that. We're now going to bring in who's up next as a
So Kate got Jane's question up about the publishing materials, and then Lisa at the boat was also wondering how many pages total it was, your guide.
I don't have page numbers on it. I want to say like Was it about 100, 150 maybe 100? I'm not even sure anymore. I would have told you last spring, but I don't know.
It's a nice book.
It's
So I
like
think
it's a legit book.
Yeah.
It's not like one of those things where you kind of go like, you know, it's bare books thin or something like that. No, this is there's a bunch of, like, how many species do you think are in here?
Well,
But-
minimum of, well, there's 55 for minimum 55. So there's more than that per. If there's 55, how many sixth
Each
graders are
person-
there?
So
You're 25 in our class.
yeah,
They're about 50
I'd say
kids.
50 kids, and then each kid did at least 2, right?
3, most likely 3.
Yeah, most likely 3, 2 at the very least.
Yeah, so a
So-
lot of pages.
That's great.
Yeah, and I saw somebody's question pop up. We didn't this year. That's another change. I'd like the table of contents. We only organized it by the first part is producers, then consumers, and decomposers. And so that
That's
was
why they're all spread out.
yeah. That's why they're not together.
Got it. Now let's bring in Jane, another one of an educator in this community. Jane, thank you for being with us. And what are your questions for the team here?
Thank you, Jack. You're breaking up.
I'm sorry about that. I'm plugged into the wall, but I think that there must be something wrong with the sort of the general internet connection in my neighborhood here. So I apologize for being.
No worries.
But let's bounce over to Jane. What's your question?
Hi, everybody. Thanks. And Jack was just here visiting Vancouver, Washington recently and introducing our community to nature journaling for educators. And Rachel, this is amazing. And I've been working a lot with the OSPI, the Department of Washington's Education Department, in their sustainability. So I would love to be able to connect with you and talk a little bit more about your project, because that's something that we're trying to replicate here in the Vancouver area. Establishments would love to see your product as an example of some of the amazing work that you're doing. That's great.
Oh, I'd love to. I'm going to put my email address in the chat here. You can email me. Anybody.
Yeah. And
Free
Kate,
to.
thank you for asking all the questions I had. Thanks. Great to see you, Jack.
Hey, it's really good to see you. Thank you so much for bringing me up there. It was wonderful to spend some time with your teachers as well. And
That's awesome.
I love the idea of you connecting together here. I think that the more that we're, you know, that teachers in a region are able to kind of work with each other, and work with agencies that have resources, it's going to empower us to do so much more. Thank you very much. So let's see, we've got in our last minute or so here of time together. Again, Rachel, Evie, and Michaela, we are so grateful that the three of you, first of all, did this project. I mean, this is great for the kids who are. Whoops! But you printed the whole thing upside down.
It works.
Oh, it's a southern hemisphere bird. Okay. This is useful for the students in the class. This is also useful for all the family members and community members who are then able to use this as a resource. And then this is also useful for all of us educators around the globe who are going to kind of take this really good idea and make it into something even more exciting.
That's awesome.
So thank you all. Thank you all so much for this.
Thank you. What? Oh, she's reading the comment.
Again, we really appreciate your time, your energy, your wisdom, and what a great celebration of biodiversity near us. And this is the kind of authentic educational experience that the more of us are able to be involved with something like this, the more we're going to care about nature nearby, the more we're going to do something to protect it. So bravo, and look forward to seeing whatever comes next. in closing, do any of you have any last thought or idea that you wanted to share with us and actually a worldwide audience of other educators who are going to be tuning in?
That cover Miss Robbins designed and drew herself,
Yeah,
and it looks amazing.
Oh, that was
I
That
absolutely
looks
love it.
crazy.
I mean, we have the little binded book as all of our grade personal copies.
Well, thank you, Michaela. You guys did the work. This book
The
would not be
cover
a
looks
book.
amazing.
It
The
does
cover is
look beautiful.
The cover is what makes people want to open the book.
Yes.
This is true. But you
Paid
did
them.
print it upside down, so that's good.
You're holding the book upside down.
I think.
Oh.
All right.
Well, thank you so much. If other teachers do these projects, I would love to see what you come up with. Give my email address. That would be really cool to
You know,
see that.
what I would
You guys would-
what would be really fun is if there were to be a PDF depository of projects like this that teachers around the globe made.
Ooh, yeah.
Maybe the Wild Wonder Foundation can talk about that, you know, if you're looking for like what could a regional field guide look like, one from your region, one from the next, one from the next, and so people could just share these ideas. We'll also put a copy to this video on that page if we do make such a resource, because that'll be a great way for teachers to get inspired and for other students to see what is possible. You've raised the bar here, and I'm really grateful. Thank you all so much, and thank you for taking your time with us today.
Thank you so much.